it allows you the liberty of, acting. Who you are. Who you are. Kasi unlike you're in confined spaces, you have those strictures, imposed by family. You're not supposed to act this way in front of your kids. Yeah. You're not supposed to act this way in front of your wife, in-laws, etc., etc.
Well, basically, the man cave, it essentially brings out the best in every person. The originality of the person. Yun eh. So, but let me ask you this question. Of course, maraming tayong mga listeners out there who want to know Lourd de Veyra, and we know you as a poet, as a writer, as a frontman, as a rock star, and a host of TV5.
I think that last category, Mart, would be more accurate because nobody knows me as someone who writes. It's a very small percentage of, like when every time I launch a book, some people would come up to me, may libro ka pala. It's like they're surprised. Yes, I can write. I am a cultured human being. I am not just someone who wears a stupid hat on TV and comments, makes absurd comments on certain issues, something like that. So I've actually learned to live with that, Mart.
You were a cult before. You had a cult following, and it wasn't really what you call mainstream or popular culture. But now, obviously, you have all of these commercials on TV and radio.
Mart, I take pride in the fact that, you have to remember that this is not. I'm comparing things, but you have to remember that when Christianity first started out, it was first regarded as a cult. Even the INC, when it started out, when it started its ministry and evangelization in somewhere in Santa Ana, in other parts of Manila, they were considered, rebels and cultists, members of one small sect. I would like to take probably comfort in the fact that I think all noble things start from such small, disparaging perceptions.
Tagay tayo dyan.
Tagay tayo dyan.
Yan. Pero ganito, no? So, cult, now you're mainstream. How do you feel about that? Anong boundary doon? How do you distinguish yourself now as a person who just writes out of your heart and out of your mind?
I think I'm very lucky, Mart, that I have this corporate support group that enables me financial freedom at the same time. That allows me to be who I am. I mean, with certain exceptions of your network making you dance to the tune of Happy, things that you have to do out of,
But you are happy. You're happy.
I am absurdly happy, Mart.
So what makes you happy apart from the network?
I'm absurdly happy. No, the network makes me happy because it affords me great freedom and leeway to be who I am.
Yes.
The network has never imposed on me what to say or what to do or how to behave. I think that is an extremely, at least as far as I am concerned, admirable fact. I think all great networks should give all their anchors great freedom to be what they want to be and who they are.
So you've had a lot of, I suppose, gigs in life, no?
When you say gigs, certain rackets and certain stations in life.
Rackets, yeah.
But Mart, I think if when all else is gone, I think I would still like to regard myself as a writer.
A writer.
I think I will die a writer. I think this TV thing is but permanent.
Let us make ourselves clear here. Kasi scholar ka ng Philippine Daily Inquirer, and I've talked to numerous people who were in the Inquirer also, naging scholar din na Inquirer. And meron mga sinasabi na, si Lourd naman dapat sa Inquirer yan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they don't know the story behind it.
It was not my fault, Mart. It came to a point where the last check, because every month I go there to get my check, no? They have this book allowance, so-called. And before, quote-unquote, graduation time came, Mart, the late Isagani Yambot, the publisher of the Inquirer, told me that the bad news, Iho, is that we have a freeze hiring policy as of this point.
Right.
So I went to another newspaper, and at that point, Mart, I had no other plans, agenda in life, but I just wanted to write. So if there was a company that sold a publication that's meant for tinapa, covering tinapa, I would write for that publication. I'm just so lucky that the publication that took me in was owned by Teddy Boy Locsin, was also my writing idol. He writes editorials like no one else can or did. And I was lucky that I was given a beat where I was allowed to experiment with my prose and my language, and everything else was.
You mentioned Teddy Boy Locsin, and in our numerous conversations now, you somehow always mention him.
Because Teddy Boy Locsin for me was I think he was the ultimate boss. He was the boss in the sense that he was someone you looked up to. He was someone you idolized in terms of writing. He was someone you idolized in terms of just looking at his bookshelf. You know what, Mart? This is what Teddy Boy does. Every day he would walk around the office and check at people's computers, not to look at what they're actually writing, but he was carrying this bottle of isopropyl alcohol and basahan, and he would just wipe. He had this OC attitude about him, But sometimes when you're lucky and he sees a book on your desk, he sees one particular author, and you're there for the whole day. He returns in the afternoon carrying 5 other books by that same author. He just gives those books to you, just out of generosity. That's the kind of boss he is, Mark.
So what is it about Lourd that we don't know?
Pretty much I'm transparent. Does not look like it, but I'm a very shy person deep inside. The worst thing for me is always trying to face an audience, just me, myself alone. And a lot of people would say, no, but you front a band. You're not supposed to be shy. But no, being in a band with 8 other people and playing all different instruments is a different thing. As opposed to just you there in your own bare naked words. That's another thing altogether.
One of the things that I appreciate about you is that you never fail to look back or include your band in the popularity that you're enjoying right now.
No, not really. Actually, I've sort of resigned myself to the fact that I'm in a band that is playing music that will never ever reach a wider spectrum of audiences. We've sort of resigned ourselves to that fact, in terms of our sound, in terms of our look, because I'm with a bunch of people who consider themselves true musicians, and whatever livelihood it is that they expect from the music, they have to derive it from somewhere else. But what happens in Sago is something that is straight from our instincts, our viscera, our guts.
So Lourd Ernest H. de Veyra. What is the H?
That's Hanopol, Mr. Andanar.
Okay, the Hanopol.
My uncle is the great Pinoy rock icon, Mike Hanopol.
Did it ever help you break into the music scene?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, when we only start, my brother and I, which is also the co-writer of Songs in Sago, only started appreciating him and his work when we were in our teens. We were growing up all exposed to his music, but it was not until we reached a certain age of late adolescence when we actually were open to the idea that what he was doing was actually rather groundbreaking given the context of things.
Okay, so we want to understand Lourd de Veyra, saan ka nagmana, where you got your traits, and your father was a police officer in Western Police District.
Yes.
Now Manila Police District. And
MPD. Now, but he's retired.
What did you get from your father?
Now I'm just beginning to appreciate it, but that sense of my father was this was something I did not understand until recently. If you're gonna do something, just do it right. That sense of I don't know. I think people would call it obsessive compulsive disorder, but I think it's just an element of justice. You get paid for what you do, and I think in exchange you give you repay that thing. You give something in exchange that is. I think of more or less the same level, of the same value, So, what does that translate to in normal parlance? In easier terms, it means that somebody gives you 3,000 pesos to write a 5-paragraph article. You make sure that you do your research right. You make sure that your grammar is impeccable, you're immaculate.
Your father? Wow.
No, my father does not write at all. My father, in fact, was impressed by the fact that, you actually typed this. No, Dad, I wrote that. But you did the typing. No, somebody did the typing for me, for the layout. No, my father is... But he appreciates, he's a... I don't. This is not to disparage him, but he's a simple-minded kind of guy. The more complex, the more complex personality is my mom.
Your mother is a musician.
She plays the piano. Who also she has this diversity of reading tastes. Right.
So apart from well, you don't call it singing. Yeah, you call it what?
It's poetry recitation, set against a backdrop of jazz and funk and whatever it is that comes out of our breakfast, as musicians.
So do you play any instruments apart from...
I am. I think would be categorized as a rather... I'm a fairly competent guitar player, Martin.
I've seen you. I've seen you play the guitar, yeah.
I was out of shape back then. You should see me now. Yeah. I'm going back to my roots as a guitar player.
You mentioned before in one of our conversations that you did learn how to play classical music.
Yes. I was enrolled. My mother enrolled me at the Yamaha School of Music, and afterwards she enrolled me at an extension course of the UP College of Music. In fact, were it not for some fortuitous turn of things, I would have been a classical guitar major at the UP College of Music.
So, what do you think? Well, you just released an album, and the days have changed. The music we listen to have changed. The music industry has completely changed. We are now dependent on the internet, on Apple, on their iTunes, and gone are the days that you have all of these big publishers who will publish your music. But then you still chose to create one entire album. Right now,
Mark, I'll tell you this. Yes, as early as the first album, which was under Viva Music, Viva, no? Viva, we had a 2-album contract with Viva, Mark. We had a 2-album contract with Viva, and as early as after the first album, we were writing songs for the new one, for the second one, and immediately after the first one, they were already looking for. They have songs that sound like the songs of Salbakuta. That's when we realized, okay, we cannot play this game. No, well, we could have easily done that, but ourselves, because we were playing jazz, we were 18, 17, 19, and we were playing straight ahead bebop jazz, and we were doing 2-hour sets with 14 minutes saxophone solos. We're experimenting things, noise, free jazz, and it was clear to us that going by the route of Salbakuta was not something that would be in our best interest. So as early as the first album, we knew that we could not have played that mainstream music game. So Mart, it's been more than 10 years since our second album was released, and I think I'm just lucky to be in a group with a bunch of guys who knew what they wanted and who knew what they do not want to play.
How do you draw the line between being an artist and being free of what you write? And now that you're on mainstream, and recently you've had an experience of writing about a big band called One Direction, and
yes. Me being, I think, a big follower of popular culture, I think the curious part about it is that all these fans of all these boy bands would sooner or later realize that the things they admire will not be eternal. It would come to a point, in the same way that the people who wore all those stupid shoulder pads back then would...
Gary V.
I'm not just talking about the artists, but the fans, I've been a rather I would say industrious observer of popular culture for the past many years, to say that all these things are transient, all these boy bands are transient. I think the ones who would be remembered are the ones who would actually make great music. And at this point, I do not see all those, groups like One Direction and everything else. Justin Bieber probably would have, because Justin Bieber, I think, at least Justin Bieber knows how to play guitar. And I think some of the songs he sings have his own personal songwriting imprint, But all these boy bands, all these manufactured things will be no different, I think, Mart, from all the other fads that have gone through and have been forgotten by popular culture.
Na-realize mo ba? Did you ever think that you'd be popular in the social media space?
Never, Mart. I've never thought of that. And in fact, I think whatever little popularity it is that I enjoy now is, I think, also like all those boy bands, will be tragically transient, fleeting, impermanent, temporary.
So tell us, when you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing that you think about?
First thing I think about, especially in my context now, I think about what we are going to discuss in the morning show. I'm that kind of guy, Mart. I take things one step at a time. I think about, let's say, whatever the book it is I'm writing after the morning show. I think about the gig that we would have. Let's say we have a weekend gig. I would think about it on Friday night.
And
I think that's how I survive.
You don't plan for tomorrow.
I never... I do make certain sketches, notes, but never plan, like, say, this is what you will do, what you will do today, tomorrow, nothing like that.
And how do you see yourself? I know it's a cliche. It's
I think I would see myself, Mart, next year, 5 years from now, as someone who is writing a book that nobody would be reading.
Nobody would be reading. So that means you're irrelevant by that time.
Yes.
It's okay.
We've been all irrelevant before, and I think we'll all be irrelevant again.
And
I think the big I think the big folly, of all people who appear on media is that they would last forever. No more. I as a observer of as a scholar of popular culture, you've seen people rise up and down. You've seen great artists you admire, but seriously, I mean, when it comes to Bob Dylan, you only admire, like, let's say, 2 Bob Dylan albums, and all the rest, it's confined to, to oblivion.
In the 48 Laws of Power, it says there that if you want to be popular, you should strike the most popular person. And in our years of working together...
What do you mean strike the most popular person? You strike like lightning?
Maybe lambast a popular person.
Talaga? Nandun yun?
Yes. And I noticed that, I don't know if it's well, it's not conscious in your part because hindi mo alam, sabi mo. No? Chris Aquino, na mga Tony Boy Cuanco days natin. Tinitira mo si Chris Aquino during that time. And that really unnerved Chris.
I don't think I even made the slightest crack in her attention.
What about her that you don't admire?
No, it's actually more if you try to think about it, it's more an element of it's more of an element of fascination, right? An element of fascination that here you have someone who is only first became famous by virtue of familial affiliation, by just the sheer virtue of her surname, and it fascinates me how Mart, this is not really an element of disparaging. It's not an issue of disparaging or something of attacking someone, that one of those laws of power. I think for me it's more of I think it's more of a sociological study of. I think I am part of that perennial search for that question. Why are we fascinated with her? So whatever attack it is that it's perceived that I do, on her, I think it's more I think I am part of that great general search for what it is that makes her fascinating.
So what makes you click?
I have no idea, Mart. I have no idea because I would not probably fall in any media strategy, because to begin with, I am not good looking. I am not that articulate, and like Jun Sabayton, I do not fall under all those cliches that would that would be embraced by the media. So it's one of those funny accidents. I consider myself more in the line of Mahal or the young Isa Seguera. I don't know, Mart. I never actually sat back to ponder about about things.
Politics. Let's talk about politics. What do you think of our president?
I think he means well. From the bottom of my heart, I think he means well. I think deep down inside, he is just someone who wants to do good. Unfortunately, the issue is capacity, capability, competence for the job. We gave someone the leader, we handed over to someone the leadership. Someone who was not asked for it, was not dreamed of it, no. And in fact, in this last sauna, that's what I think he was trying to impress on us. That kung sa Tagalog, sabihin natin na parang hindi ko naman ginusto to eh. No? Hindi ko naman ginusto to. Parang buti nga tinanggap ko to at kung tutuusin mo, no, yun. I don't know, Mart. Yun. Parang buti tinanggap ko to and sana wag niyo akong tirahin kasi unlike others, hindi ko naman to inambisyon and I just want to do well, no? Not good. Well, just to do well. You know? Yun. So may ganung elemento pa rin. Ang problema kasi, given, kasi for the past 2 days, no, and in fact, parang I think even the most studious observers, gugulat sila kasi parang nadala sila ng emosyon, no? Parang, this is a frail human being we have for a president, and he's also human, gano'n. Pero at the end of the day, given and tama nga yung kasabihan ng isang yung sabi ng ibang no? At ineko ni Coloma dati, the clearest vision is hindsight, no? Ganon din, no? So, the same way na yung mother niya had all the best intentions pa rin. Pero when it comes to, assessment in terms of administration, governance, marami tayong debate dyan, Mart.
Marami sa mga katrabaho natin na sinasabi nila pag nakakausap ko. Actually, halos silang lahat. Okay yan si Lourd, rock and roll yan. Rock and roll. Kailan ka ba hindi rock and roll?
Ano ba ibig sabihin ng rock and roll?
Cool. Cool ka lang.
Cool. Okay.
Kailan ka ba hindi cool? Kailan ka ba hindi rock and roll?
Ewan ko kasi mukha lang ang ganito, Mart, pero every day, before I come to the show, I make sure that I scan the papers.
Obviously. Yeah.
That's not a very rock and roll thing to do, no? Kasi because if you go by the strict standards of rock and roll is just appearing in something and, parang bahala na si Batman. I'm never like that, Mart. I'm good at homework, which is not a very rock and roll thing. And in fact, if you go by my band, which is Radioactive Sugar Project, that's not a very rock and roll sort of band because this is a band that plays extremely complicated music that goes through 10 rehearsals per songs, and all our songs are written down on strict musical notations that cannot be played by your average rock and roll musician. So that's not rock and roll for me. No.
Okay.
I think I think the simplest answer is to give the impression of being rock and roll entails a lot of work.
All right.
Yeah.
I've asked you a lot of questions.
Sense?
Yeah, you make sense. Pero siguro ito na siguro yung huling tanong ko sa'yo. No? How do you want to end this interview?
I would want to end this interview by let's play another Yo-Yo Villame song.
Another Yo-Yo Villame song.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Or no. Not Yo-Yo. Because that's already Jun Sabayton's province. Let us end this interview with a song by Miss Sylvia Latorre.
Okay, so let's hear it.
This song is called Alak.
Alak. Mr. Lourd de Veyra, ladies and gentlemen, on Podcast.Ph.
Bakit ka laging amoy alak? Hawak mo ay bote at kukumpas-kumpas. Kilos mo'y waring natutuwa habang nagdiriwang tungga ka ng tungga. Mag-inumang kita sa gitna ng saya hanggang sa malasing ang ating kaluluwa. O ang alak pala tanging pampasigla sa pusong inapis sa tapat na pagsinta.